Hello, YouTube. Sorry for the blanket. It's actually 6 in the morning and I am cold. But I'm gonna power through the cold to post my review, which I've been planning on doing for a while. Um, this is actually a three-parter. I'm gonna review How to Train Your Dragon 1, How to Train Your Dragon 2, and I'm also gonna do a review of the TV show, which I have actually like marathon through just for the sake of reviewing it. Now, quick backstory about How to Train Your Dragon. I can't get into the books. I'm sorry, but I never really read the books. I didn't even know it was based on a book, so I can't comment if it's like close to the book or anything. So this is gonna be purely movie, and also, uh, my initial thoughts about How to Train Your Dragon before getting into it. Um, I actually didn't really want to watch How to Train Your Dragon at first. Like I heard it was good, but at the same time, I'm not saying I was a Pixar fanboy, but I was not really a fan of DreamWorks. Like I always kind of pictured that Pixar was like the one that always made the good animated movies, and DreamWorks was the one that made the so-so animated movies. Like I know I really like Shrek 1 and Shrek 2, but everything else was kind of like meh. Like I'm pretty sure I liked some other DreamWorks animated movie, but other than that, I wasn't really too interested in seeing How to Train a Dragon. That was my initial thoughts. Now, short review of How to Train a Dragon. I actually really liked it. Like, to be honest, um, if I had seen this when I was a kid, it's definitely the kind of movie I would rewatch over and over again because, sorry, it there's a certain charm to How to Train Your Dragon that I feel is missing in a lot of movies intended for kids nowadays. Like it just has this really good feel good film type feel, and I know that I mean there's more of a we're gearing more towards films that are like darker, more serious. Like even our superhero movies are getting more darker. I mean, if you compare like Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man movies, and like um current superhero movies, like there's more a shift towards darker movies. But just because a movie's light doesn't mean it's bad. And How to Train Your Dragon proves my point. Like I really liked it even though it was really light and really fun. Like it was just a really feel good fun movie. Does it have its faults? Well, I'll get into that. But short review, if you just want the short review, it's a really good movie and I suggest you watch it. Like I would give it an A minus actually. That's pretty high. Now going more into I'm sorry, I'm a little sick. Now, getting more into an in-depth review of How to Train Your Dragon, I'm going to start with a bad because there's not a lot to talk about, to be honest. The number one bad point I have my notes here. The number one bad point I had was it was kind of cliched. Like, I mean, we've seen the story before. Like the basic story of How to Train Your Dragon is we follow this tribe of Vikings, and the main character is his name is Hiccup, who is the son of a chieftain, the chieftain of the town, and he's the typical underdog protagonist. Like he's weak. I mean, like he's the least physically what's the word? Physically menacing of the Vikings. He's dorky, he fails each task, he's hated by like the town for being a screw up, and the most typical cliche in this kind of story, the dad disapproves of his son. Like, okay, he doesn't hate him, but at the same time you can tell he's really disappointed in that he raised this screw up of a child. And so our protagonist, like, he goes through his story is pretty much, the underdog trying to prove his worth, trying to prove that he has what it takes to um, stack up against the other Vikings. And that's where he encounters the dragon, and of course, and oh, I forgot to mention the town, this tribe, they hunt dragons. So he's trying to prove himself by hunting a dragon. But the main story is that when he does find a dragon, like he can't kill it, and he ends up, how to training the dragon, not how to, but training the dragon. So that's pretty much the basic story, and it's cliched. You get pretty much the same cliches you've seen in this kind of story, like um, the hero tries to keep the dragon training secret, and you know that if like the secret is revealed, then they have to kill the dragon, so he has to keep it secret. So they have the montage of him like having these like close encounters, and there's also another montage at the same time as this other montage of him training. There's a montage of him like getting better himself, which is kind of cool actually. Like the montage is not just for him bonding with the dragon. The montage is also there to build on his character, and you see him like rise, like he's starting to be less of a screw up, but you also know that it's all a lie, and that we all know that this is building up to the moment where he reveals the secret, then he goes back to being hated, and of course, the climax is him like ultimately redeeming himself in front of everyone. And it's all cliched, it's all done before, but I'm gonna get into why that's not a bad thing. No, okay, there's only one other bad point I had about this movie, then I'll get into the good. The one other bad point about this movie I had, and I feel like a lot of people will disagree with me on this, and I kind of disagree with myself. Um, Jay Baruchel and America Ferrera, I feel like were miscast, and I know a lot of people are going like, "Oh no, how come you hate Hiccup and Astrid's voice actors?" But I don't like I like them, but even though I like the characters, I feel like the voices were a little distracting. Like, okay, America Ferrera was fine at bits, but there are some bits where um it was kind of distracting to hear her voice. Like, I don't know, maybe the animation didn't match the voice. Like there was a scene, I remember the scene that came to mind was after they find the king dragon, she's yelling at Hiccup that they have to reveal the dragon's like location, and like she's screaming, but at the same time Astrid is like her facial expressions aren't really matching the voice. I don't. That's just me nitpicking. My major point is about Jay Baruchel actually. Like he has a really good dorky voice. Like I can definitely picture this kind of character having this kind of voice, but he sounds way too old for Hiccup. Like it took me out of the movie. Like it like I kept picturing Hiccup as an older person since Jay Baruchel, even though he does have a dorky voice, it's more suitable for like an older character. And it makes more sense in the second movie. Like when I saw the second movie, it's like, oh, okay, now it works. But when he's voicing young Hiccup, it's not irritating, it's more just distracting. So that's just nitpick. I mean, like I thought he did pretty good, so anyways, I'm really sorry. Going into the good, well, let's see, what should I get into first? I guess let's start with a simple note here. For the good, I have to note the visuals. Like, okay, typically not a guy who notes the visuals and things. Like, I'm more of a story guy, but even I gotta admit, the visuals in this was pretty damn good. Like, I wish I saw this in 3D theaters because there's the scenes of him flying around on what the fuck's the name of the dragon again? Oh, Toothless. The scenes where he's flying around on Toothless, those are some of the like most amazing scenes to watch. Like it really feels like you're on the dragon. So I can only imagine just how it looked like in 3D. Like it must have looked amazing. And also, um, I can now see why people say this movie is like a send up to Pixar because there's some scenes in here that is really Pixar-esque. And when I say Pixar-esque, I mean not in terms of story, but in terms of like there's a certain charm that Pixar can do to a scene to make it, I guess, their own. It's kind of hard to explain. Like there's a certain like beauty to how Pixar can make a scene. Like for example, Up's opening or what else? There's other examples I had in mind. Okay, what I'm trying to say is Pixar has a way of making a scene that's supposed to be kind of simple look really, really good on screen. And DreamWorks achieved that. And the scene I had in mind that was really Pixar-esque was Hiccup and Astrid's like date in the clouds. And I watched this on DVD and and I know and like even with like a small screen, like I could tell that this would have been amazing to look at in theaters. Like just how just how the scene flows, like in if it was just like your typical animated movie, it would just be them flying in the clouds. But here, it looks like you can freaking touch the clouds. Like, and also it's not just the fact that they're flying in the clouds. Like, there's bits of them showing like Toothless making like turns and it's kind of disorienting, but at the same time, it's good that it's disorienting because you know they're flying, and it shifts into the night, and you see the aurora borealis, and it's one of the most gorgeous scenes in this movie, and one of the most gorgeous scenes I've ever seen. Um, so I guess in terms of since we were talking about visuals, I have to know music. Music was good too, and okay, getting more into the meaty stuff. The story was pretty good. Okay. I mean, yeah, I criticize it for being cliched, but I feel like that's fine for this movie because it makes up for it in terms of the other two good points I had here, which was characters and the overall feel to it, like the morals it's telling. Like I said, not every like just because a movie's not dark, it doesn't mean it's bad. And this movie proves it. Um this movie has a pretty like simple moral. Just believe in yourself. Um, don't try to be something that you're not. And if you try to be the best that you can be, then you'll succeed. And it's not a bad moral. And this moral has been done in the past, but how this movie does it, like it doesn't feel new, but it still feels refreshing to watch. You know. And it's kind of hard to explain it's kind of hard to explain just how feel good this movie is, but I feel the best way to explain it is the characters. Because the characters really make this movie. Um, because I feel like the reason why this kind of storyline might not have worked I if the characters were bad, like if the characters were annoying, then we would notice just how worn out this moral is. But since the characters are so likable, we don't really notice the cliched moral. Does that make sense? Like, I guess it goes back to writing. Like, the writing is so good that you're willing to forgive it for like these other flaws. And a big deal, the writing goes to the characters. Now, let's see, a few standout characters for me. Okay, definitely Hiccup. Okay, because Hiccup was actually a really really good protagonist. Like he could have just been your average like underdog hero, but there's actually a certain kind of uniqueness to the Hiccup character. Like even though he is the underdog, you see bits of him that's like both unsympathetic and sympathetic. Like you sympathize with him for, you know, being the underdog, but you also don't really sympathize with him because he's willing to kill dragons just to prove himself. And that doesn't make him bad, okay? That makes him human. Like that's actually a big deal about Hiccup's character. He's very relatable, and the fact that you see him grow through the movie, like you learn that he doesn't want to kill dragons anymore, and then he flips back and forth on whether he should keep the dragons or whether he should retain his loyalty to his tribe, and then in the end where he makes that his like final decision that I'm not gonna leave my dragon, and you see that, and you know that he's been on this journey. It's just really, really good. Like it leaves you with a really good feeling to see Hiccup go on this journey. And yeah, I mean the ending is pretty sad. Like if you haven't seen the movie, spoilers. Ooh. Like he loses his leg in the process, but I mean even that I can forgive, you know, because I guess I guess that kind of goes back on my thing about this movie being a feel-good movie, but at the same time, I mean, it also does tell a good moral that, I mean, every action has a consequence, and sometimes life doesn't turn out the way that you want it to, but that's not a bad moral, you know, it was handled well. I'm just saying. Anyways, I'm getting off track. Other characters that stood out, God, there was I actually really like the whole cast in this movie now that I think about it. I mean, yeah, there's a whole bunch of other standout characters. Like I really like the girlfriend character, Astrid. I hate just relegating her to the girlfriend status, but you know, she is the love interest. Like okay, trust me. She has her own character in this, but I really liked her character and her role also as the love interest because sorry. Because what DreamWorks got right that I feel like a lot of movies get wrong is that they tend to pit these two protagonists together as a couple without them having any intimacy. And I know that sounds weird, like picturing animated characters in a kids movie having intimacy, but it if you want your audience to believe that they're going to get together in the end, then show them doing coupley stuff. I mean, that's not hard. And you do see that in How to Train Your Dragon, actually. Like, especially in the cloud date, like you see her like clutching to Hiccup, and then you see them just like having these moments together, and it's all about building chemistry. And it's just God, it feels weird talking about romance in this movie, but that was something that this movie actually got actually really right. They also got the dad right. Like he could have been your typical, "Oh, I hate you, son, but now I like you because you redeemed yourself." He doesn't make a the reason why he's good is that he doesn't make a complete turn. Like you see the process in where this character is going. Like he doesn't just immediately turn on his son when the secrets reveal that he's training dragons. Like you see the shame in his eyes, and you see the regret where he has to like turn against his son, and then you see the guilt when he realizes he was wrong, and he doesn't make these sudden turns, which I actually like. Like he feels like his own character. That's actually something I should know. Every character in this movie felt like their own character. Even the comic relief characters that weren't really there, like they were a defined character. I feel like I'm just rambling at this point. Um, let me just wrap up. Sorry for taking too long. So, How to Train Your Dragon, like I said, A minus. It's a really good movie. I definitely recommend this to anyone interested. Like even if you're an adult, I feel like this is a movie that you can get behind. And if you have kids, this is definitely a movie that I recommend them seeing. It's better than a lot of other kids movies. Um, yeah, How to Train Your Dragon, really good movie. And stay tuned, this is part one. Next up is How to Train Your Dragon, the TV show, because the TV show comes before the second movie, so I have to do that one first.